The biggest story in Conspiriana right this moment, however, is FEMA director on misinformation, truly dangerous narrative. Grabbing this from Politico, and of course, everything we say is always included in the show notes. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell said Sunday misinformation surrounding the agency's funding, and specifically Donald Trump's false claims that money went to undocumented migrants, depleting the money for hurricane relief, is a truly dangerous narrative. It's frankly ridiculous and just plain false. This kind of rhetoric is not helpful to people, Criswell said in an interview with host Clinton operative and Disney employee George Stephanopoulos on ABC's This Week. It's really a shame that we're putting politics ahead of people, and that's what we're here to do. We've had the complete support of the state. We've had the local officials helping to push back on this truly dangerous narrative that's creating this fear of trying to reach out and help us or register to help. Again, they are your saviors, so anything that comes in between those middlemen is a dangerous narrative. They're here to help and save you. The false claims have been pushed by Trump and his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who have reiterated that funding for undocumented migrants had led to less money and resources to help Americans with hurricane relief, a claim FEMA and local officials have repeatedly pushed back on. These theories are part of a wide range of increasingly bizarre conspiracy theories circulating online, including one that Helene was a plot to drive out the population for lithium mining, as well as one by Representative Marjorie the Gathering that an unspecified they, my aforementioned they, sent Helene to wipe out Trump voters in the region. Sidebar. If they didn't have abilities to manipulate the weather, why would they sign treaties 70 years ago saying, we won't manipulate the weather? But that's, again, you're crazy if you mention that. Criswell reiterated in the interview that FEMA has all the resources it needs, adding that many of the resources were moved prior to Hurricane Helene hitting the U.S. She said FEMA staff was embedded to work side by side with state and local officials to quickly bring those resources to where they were needed and will continue to do that. These continuing efforts come right before another tropical storm predicted to make landfall pretty much right now as we speak in Florida, and they are hyping it up too, man. You think old people like to talk about weather? Conspiracy people like to talk about the weather too, man. Stephanopoulos noted that a lot of these claims are going viral. He pointed to one person online suggesting that a militia should go against FEMA. That was probably Unit 8200 posting that. That post got more than 500,000 views, he said. It has a tremendous impact on the comfort level of our own employees to be able to go out there on the front lines of COVID and, to help out the communities that have been hit by a hurricane in places that get hit by a hurricane all the time. FEMA staff, volunteers, the private sector that are working side by side with local officials that go out and help people. When asked about the impact of these claims online, again, these are your godlike angels of the frontline first responders. Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, Senator Tom Tillis rejected the idea that the state was not getting the resources it needs because of immigration. We have the resources that we need. We're going to have to go back and pass more resources. We could have a discussion about the failure of this administration's border policies and the billions of dollars it's costing, but right now, not yet is it affecting the flow of resources to North Carolina. North Carolina Senator calls conspiracy theories around Helene federal response a distraction, which is also something alternative media will accuse you of being when you're not talking about their pet issue. But there was a drill, as the weird conspiracy site Associated Press reports. Tampa's Phoenix simulation anticipated Category 5 hurricane, and one from Zero Hedge. Did Biden-Harris divert FEMA funds for luxury migrant apartments with flat-screen TVs? James, the one thing I know that is 100% fact, emergency services, to the degree of which they are needed, will not be there to help folks when they need it. Period. It's like Chief Wiggum said, the law is powerless to protect you, but not to punish you. James?
Yep, that's about right. So what's the theme of this episode? Real problems, phony solutions. Yeah, if you're waiting for FEMA to come in and save you, well, keep on waiting, and wait until you die, apparently. Well, anyway, I haven't been following this story closely from this side of the planet, but I assume you have Media Monarchy contacts or members that are in or near the affected areas. Have you heard anything from them about this?
I've heard and seen screen grabs of text conversations about the weird people that have shown up to city council meetings in Tennessee. I know that North Carolina is looking pretty rough. We do have some members there, and haven't heard from a few of the members that we have in Florida that are around near the area. I assume, again, they're going to be fine. These things just get so cranked up. And if you've seen this in your life before, other family members who just, they'll stare at the television when they're doing their 24/7 storm freak out coverage. I've seen it in the past before, even before Trump derangement syndrome had sat in. The weather derangement syndrome, I think, had really always affected a lot of people. Again, I know they lie about stuff. I don't know what they're doing up in space. I just know that most of those things don't affect me here on the ground. Hey, they're burning down half my town again. I've got a prescribed burn, and we can't even really open our windows, and I can't see the sky. I don't see a bunch of news coming to my rescue, and where's alternative media worried about my controlled burns? It's tough, James. I often think of Neil Postman's amusing ourselves to death, while also sending love and whatever help could be provided to folks in those situations, man.
This is it. Yeah, for people who are in the situation, yeah, it's a very real problem. But you're right. The amount of attention that is focused on these types of events, even in advance, by the mainstream media, should at least give us some pause for thought about what's going on. And as someone who lives in a highly natural disaster-prone country, I can attest that every single time there is an earthquake or a typhoon or anything in Japan, I will get emails about it. Oh, that was hundreds of miles away. It doesn't affect me. But I understand why people do that. But I will just throw in a little bit of cold water on some of the conversation around this. That's just in passing of note. The most recent editorial by Kit Knightley at off-guardian.org. Careful, talk of weather modification could be a trap. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff swirling around about this, and I'm sure our members will have more to say about it, so I'm looking forward to their response as well.
It's maybe one of those situations where there's nothing to gain from it. Because if you talk about geoengineering and solar radiation management and stratospheric aerosol injection, you're a freaking nutball. But when they bring it up, it's real and it's good. You can't win. You can't win in these conversations anymore. The deck has really been stacked. The thumb is on the scale, as they say. NewWorldNextWeek.com